reducing employee turnover and increasing productivity. Employee turnover is an important factor for companies and organizations because whenever there's employee turnover and an employee leaves the organization or company, the company is going to have to pay high replacement costs. And these costs can be anywhere from 6 to 9 months of an employee's annual salary. And companies with lower turnover rates are also linked to higher job satisfaction. And higher job satisfaction is closely related to better job performance. Employee turnover is also tied to organizational performance. And nowadays, millennials are much more likely to quit jobs due to the low job satisfaction, also known as job hopping.
Some factors that lead to higher turnover rates are task-oriented leadership behavior. Task-oriented leadership behavior in the workplace does not directly cause every employee to quit or become dissatisfied with their job, but this leadership style has been connected to lower levels of organizational commitment in the workplace as well as lower perceived organizational support, which in turn can lead to higher turnover intentions within the organization. Task-oriented leadership behavior mainly focuses on structure within the organization and prioritizes tasks and goals instead of employee relationships. And sometimes, in extreme cases, employees can view this type of leadership as autocratic. Lack of incentives, other than employee-based salary, can also lead to employees feeling less motivated and can lead to lower levels of perceived organizational support. Overwhelming workloads can lead to higher turnover rates because they make employees feel burnout when they're paired with task-oriented leadership. It can make employees feel less motivated and less connected to their jobs.
Amazon is becoming America's #1 job of employment. They have created so many new jobs and work opportunities for Americans. However, a high turnover rate is the norm for Amazon. This is due to most of the points explained in the previous slides, like the extreme work volume, slower promotion paths, and tedious everyday tasks.
Factors that have led to lower turnover rates include relationship or person-oriented leadership behavior. Unlike task-oriented behavior, person-oriented leadership behavior has been shown to lead to lower turnover intentions and create higher levels of perceived organizational support in employees. This type of leadership focuses more on relationships between employees and higher management through relationship building and focuses much less on productivity goals and tasks to be completed. It has clearly defined boundaries and involves a lot of employee recognition and team building. Higher organizational commitment, created through relationship-oriented leadership behavior, has been shown to directly decrease employee turnover intentions. This in turn leads to higher levels of organizational commitment, which leads to a higher level of employee engagement and retention.
Eastman Kodak, the founder of Kodak, started his company with a strong emphasis on employee relations and loyalty. He gave his employees a plethora of benefits, including insurance, paid college tuition, access to company housing, competitive pay, and the results of his loyalty were Kodak's employees having high tenures and very low turnover rates, and this played a role in Kodak's dominance in its industry over the years. The diagram here shows how turnover rates affect an organization's performance. So turnover rates directly affect proximal performance, like productivity and safety. And the significance of how it affects it is measured by the cause of the turnover, like if it was voluntary or not, and the employee group. And the effect of the proximal performance affects the distal performance, such as profits, return on assets and equity, and market performance. The relationship between the two is negative, meaning that as turnover rates go up, the distal performance will decrease.
Millennials are the future. However, they aren't very sure what it has in store for them and like to keep their options open. If a job has low job satisfaction, these are the signs you will see that lead to high turnover. Low employee morale is when you will notice employees starting to feel down or disengaged. Communication is really low and they show little to no reaction with everyone. Increased absenteeism usually starts as just a few lates or tardies. Then you will start to see more and more days where the employee is completely absent. Low productivity is the major sign to look for. This is when the employees start doing the bare minimum. They will meet important deadlines but have no passion to do so. These are the signs of the employees who will most likely leave the organization. If we reflect back on the factors of low turnover rates, these 5 things that millennials look for sound a little familiar. Millennials tend to look for advancement opportunities because they want the security of working towards something. It is really important for them to have work-life balance so that they don't feel too overwhelmed. The biggest and probably hardest for a company to provide would have to be good pay and benefits. Millennials want meaningful work so that way they will be doing something fulfilling. Last but not least, millennials want a nurturing work environment. Although these factors don't necessarily apply to everyone in the workforce, researching millennials can help us predict problems in the future dealing with employee turnover and plan for them. For example, having a good pay and work benefits.
After looking into this, the question becomes what to do about it. One thing that companies can do is try and find a balance between these leadership styles. There's more to employment than just relations, so obviously task-oriented leadership has to be taken into account. And even though strengthening leadership relations leads to generally happier employees, task-oriented management can be necessary to accomplish goals. Employers and management should consider this as part of their leadership styles and understand what tasks are important, but not to be overwhelming and overpushed. It is important to still focus on those relationships while making sure you do what you need to do. Another thing that employers can do is check in with their employees regularly to understand their needs. The best way to gauge how employees are feeling is to check in with them. A way to do this could be anonymous check-ins or surveys with employees to collect feedback and see what can be improved on and what needs to be resolved in it. An example of this is how Kodak's management and employee relationships helps create a welcoming environment for their employees to express their needs, so that way they can gauge emotional commitment within the organization. Another thing that companies and organizations can do about it is work on improving interpersonal communication between management and employees. Employees have been shown to be more likely to form a connection with their jobs when they also have a connection with their managers and other employees. Engaging in team-building activities and other communication boosters can help these employees form an emotional connection to their job and their organization. Increasing ethical standards within the organization also helps employees view their job in a more positive light. An employee's views on their companies and ethics can alter their view on the company as a whole. In order to produce a positive view of the company, they can provide ethics training and create an environment that promotes and rewards ethical behavior. A way that Amazon has tried to work to increase ethics within their company is they've created an ambassador position to help all of their team members, which in turn attempts to create role models for the rest of the team.
In summary, we chose to focus on how to reduce employee turnover rates and how to increase productivity because we feel that these things can increase organizational performance and help save money. Turnover intentions are directly related to job satisfaction. So for instance, Amazon has high workload, which is a factor of why they have such a high turnover. While on the other hand, companies like Kodak show loyalty to their employees, which increases job satisfaction and increases job performance. When we think about future problems dealing with employee turnover and increasing productivity, we should continue to research millennials in the workforce. This could help organizations to better prepare for up-and-coming troubles. Overall, most of them can be avoided by choosing to focus on relationships, communication, and ethical behaviors to increase productivity and reduce the turnover rate.